Never seen a lame man walk, never heard a dumb man talk, never seen a blind man see. I promise you a change his name. Never seen a cancer dead, never seen all the poor get fed, never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you a change his name. Broken heart made whole. Never seen an orphan find a home. Never seen the weak find the strength. I promise you I'll change his name. Never seen the sick get healed. Never seen a mystery revealed. Never seen a death man raised. I promise you I'll change his name.
What's up, everybody? It's time. It is time. It's a whole new year.
You boys are back.
It's time.
Back again.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Back again.
Well, Travis, I ain't seen you since last year.
That's a good joke.
Yeah, there you go. I'm 46.
It's true. It's not just a joke. It's a statement of truth. Clint, how are you, man?
Dude, fantastic. Better than I deserve. Definitely better than I deserve. Doing great. Doing great. Relax.
It's good to be back on the Big C, Bigger T podcast. We did something, Clint, we haven't done in 90-something weeks last week. Your boys took a week off.
We did. I mean, we both had been fighting the junk. And then it was the holidays, and it's like, and I had the way my week went is I had to work Monday, and then I worked Tuesday, and then plus I had christened my mom that Monday. So, I mean, it's like just a hectic day. And me and you were talked about recording later that night. I also just got my son, and so we're dealing with him and all his presents and everything. Then Tuesday I took off to Memphis to the Liberty Bowl, and that was a whole catastrophe right there. Because my son doesn't do well with loud noises, and he'd been wanting to go to Lawler's, Jerry Lawler's. And normally I wouldn't put a business on blast, but I don't care. Well, they sue me, Jerry Lawler. I don't care. Andy Kaufman was right. So we go to Jerry Lawler's, and so Brandy and Mark got there before us, and Paul. They got there before us and sit down. They sat there for 20 minutes. No one even said hi to them.
Wow.
We get in there, and it's in Austin. He doesn't do well with loud noises, and there's a live band playing, so he just doesn't handle it well. So we leave, and then so there's the water outage in Memphis, and then everywhere we went was like an hour wait. So we ended up going to the suburbs. You drove past Central Barbecue. It was closed because there's no water on that street. So we went out to Huey's in Germantown, away from downtown, because, it was crazy because you had the Kansas fans there. You had some Arkansas fans there. And then, plus the Grizzlies were playing a home game. So just downtown was just insane.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to some kind of Rockin' and Dough, because Huey's, even in Germantown, had an hour wait. Went to some pizza place, an hour and a half after we first sat down to try to eat. It was No, that part wasn't fun. No, the pizza was great. I ended up getting the sandwich though. I can't tell you the name of it. It wasn't that memorable, but it was okay. It was all right. But yeah, so Jerry Lawler's, this is the second time I've been in there, second time I've had poor service. So,
well,
and I feel bad because, he's the king.
He is the king.
He is the king. He's a Memphis wrestling legend.
Mid-South.
Yeah, Mid-South. WWE. I mean,
yeah.
Who doesn't love? I mean, if you ask anybody her age, who's the best wrestling announce team of all time? They're going to say they're going to say JR and the King.
Probably so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's JR and the King. Everybody else is playing for second.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, cool, man. Like I said, I was feeling sickly. I've been dealing with I had the sinus thing, and then I had a little bit of a break, and then it went down into my chest.
yeah.
And I was having shortness of breath and stuff. And I thought several years ago, a long time ago, I dealt with pneumonia twice, and like I was hospitalized for it twice in like 6 months. And I was like, man, I hope this isn't pneumonia. And I went to the doctor. He listened to me and everything. He's like, no, you don't have pneumonia. It's just congestion and stuff. So I was thankful for that. It made me feel a little better. But anyway, I'm on the come up, back to work this week, and all that good stuff. So, folks, thanks for putting up with us being off last week.
Yeah.
Some of you may not have noticed. That's all right.
Didn't notice Sue Clark. She had no idea.
That's right. But anyway, there's some there's lots of different things out there, that could have been holy shnikes for this week. Clint, you got a lot harder one, so let's
let's go with that. So,
first.
I have said on this podcast before that my brother Paul Clark is the cheapest man alive.
Yeah.
And now, Travis, I'm not making this up. You've known me for close to 30 years now.
Yeah.
No, it's been longer than 30 years. So you've known me for 30 plus years. You can verify that my brother Paul Clark is the cheapest man alive.
He's pretty daggone cheap. Yeah.
So as you know, we go to the Liberty Bowl. So we decide we're going to tailgate because my cousin Brandy and her boyfriend Mark, they stay in Memphis. And so we all drive up there that night, go try to have fun in Memphis. And then we come, so we're going to go tailgate the next morning. So we come up with plans. So what we're going to do, we're going to drive my truck over there and park it. Because game don't start 4:30. We really don't want to start tailgating to 12:30. But you want a good spot.
Hmm.
So we go over there first thing in the morning, get there. The parking opens up at 9. We're there about 9:30. I get a tailgating spot like literally right in front of the stadium. I mean, like I could not have got a sweeter spot than what I got.
Nice.
And we lucked into it because it was just like he was selling passes, and they were assigned passes. But that in itself, that I got a sweet parking spot, wow, holy shnikes worthy, is not quite worthy of this holy shnikes. So it cost me $50 to park. So we go back to Brandy's house, kind of getting everything together. And Paul goes, here for parking. Now I didn't count it. It might have been a single. I don't know. But I didn't know it was at least a 20. He had it pulled up, but it was at least a 5. I ain't gonna say
the fact that he gave you anything.
Anything. He was willing to give me anything, and I said, no, I got it. But he was
holy shnikes.
Like it was holy shnikes that my brother Paul Clark, cheapest man alive,
is offering.
Yeah, it was like, hey, here's some money. I mean, the king of I left my wallet in the truck.
That's funny. Well, on a serious note, I don't think we can go through this week without talking about the probably holy shnikes moment of the week.
Oh, for sure.
Was the safety Hamlin from
Mar Hamlin, yeah.
From Buffalo last night during the Monday Night Football game. What seemed like a normal hit caused some sort of cardiac event in his heart. And were you able to watch any of it? Did you watch any of the aftermath of it?
I watched it. I was flipping back and forth because, as you know, it was Monday night, so you know what I'm doing on Monday night.
Yeah.
Well, I'm watching wrestling, so but I keep up with football, so I'm kind of I usually flip back and forth, and it's a huge game, huge game for the NFL. And I don't want to make light of it because I've been really hesitant to do that, but it was a big fantasy football weekend too.
Mm.
You know, and I play for fun. You know, if I win our league, I win $0. If I finish last in our league, I lose $0.
Yeah.
So they're, I don't have a dog in the fight, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that bet big money on it and stuff, and it seems like it's all taking a back seat. I mean, like everything has taken a back seat, and it's like, okay, what are we going to do about all this? And everybody's like, I don't know, I don't care. I've never seen anything like it. Of course, so I look on Facebook and I see Leslie Hendricks, Hollywood, what we all call him in tech. I saw him he goes, I've never seen anything like this. Prayers for Hamlin. And my first thought is like, okay, he broke his neck.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to flip over there and see him carting him off the field, or anything like that. I didn't want to see it. And then Anna was sitting there and she started Googling it and telling me what had happened. I was like, oh my God. I turned it over and I didn't realize how bad it was at the time. Because we've all seen it where he's collapsed now and he just dead weight. It's just like somebody picked him up and just dropped him. You've never seen anything like that. The fact they had to bring him back, they had to basically give him CPR and defibrillation right there on the field to bring him back, and then all them guys just sit there.
Yeah, I can't imagine being one of those other players out there and seeing, first of all, a teammate, if you're a Buffalo Bill, but even if you're a Cincinnati Bengal, another player having to be shot back to life on the field. I can't imagine that. I don't know. I can't fathom that. You know what I mean? Like, there's been stories of people, there was a Mackenzie Phillips, the Springdale player years ago. We were in high school, that died on the field. And he was brought back to life with CPR. I think they had to trach him and everything on the field there at Springdale, and they saved his life. He ended up playing for the Hogs as like a walk-on tight end or something like that. But you've had some weird. I was listening to Drive Time today, and they were talking about. You remember Dennis Johnson had a weird thing where he got hit weird and had like a something in one of his bowels ruptured or something and almost killed him. There's been some strange things.
Alex Smith nearly losing his leg.
Alex Smith was terrible. Well, what's his name? Teddy Bridgewater, his leg injury, they say was one of the, they canceled practice and everything. The Vikings, whenever that happened, it was one of the worst ones they'd ever seen, But what happened on national TV, like you said, it was a big game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's people that don't give a crap about either team that was watching that game because it impacted their fantasy lineup so much.
Well, and it impacted the playoffs.
Yeah.
It impacted, Skip Bayless is getting a lot of heat because he said something on Twitter about, and he said it too soon. He needed to shut his mouth and ask those questions later, But what he was saying was probably true, it was just the wrong time to be saying those things. He's saying, how are they gonna redo this game? This game means so much, it's such an important game, Well, you don't say that when the guy's still down on the ground being worked on. You don't even think about that when the guy's still, you're worried about his life right then. And so rightfully so, Skip's getting some heat over that. But
Well, because the truth is you don't care.
yeah,
You don't care about the first round bye. You're worried about your friend.
that's right.
You don't care because the Bills went out through the number 1 seed. If the Bengals would have beat them and then they both won their last week, the Bengals are the 2 seed and then they're the 3 seed. You throw that all out the window. There's a humanity part to it. And I think that's what you saw. In the silver lining, as I was actually telling my wife, is did you see his charity, his children's charity for his hometown is up over 4 million now.
Yeah.
Them kids in that town is for probably the rest of mine, your life will never hurt for Christmas presents.
No.
Like that, they won't. And if he makes it, he just come around and goes, man, I touched enough people that they did that.
Yeah.
The fact that I had this little charity meant that much that people chose to honor me in that way. And if he doesn't make it, that's his legacy. So either way, I think the fact that people have chosen that to give to that he had a GoFundMe set up for $2,500.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing about the human spirit and that's a beautiful thing really about social media. You think about it. We complain about it a lot, but people started searching this guy on social media. And his last Instagram post was a video about that charity.
Yeah.
The last one he had done, I guess. And so people started sharing that all over social media. And like you said, now those kids are going to be killing it for Christmas. It's going to be awesome, man. I mean, they're, and his family has come out and thanked people for their prayers and concerns. The Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals showed class upon class upon class in the way they handled it. It's a lot of people did the right things in this, and the fact, those, and you got to give credit to those, as we're recording this, he's, I think, in stable condition, and, he's, everything's hopefully looking positive right now, but that doesn't mean he's out of the
it's going to be, he's not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination.
But he was in a city that had a wonderful hospital that was ready for anything. It was, I forget how they categorized the hospital, but it was the type of hospital that's ready for anything you could throw at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a hospital that they didn't have to med flight him somewhere else.
Right, yeah. I mean, like they would have Dr. House at this hospital.
That's right. It was a good hospital. They were ready for it, and it sounds like the people on the field did everything they could.
Yeah, the medical staff on the field, they deserve a lot of credit because they brought him back right there.
Yeah,
I mean they were on top of it. I mean there's it could have been. I mean it's awful, but the fact that they were able in that situation to think that clearly and do that and do their job.
If it had been a few years ago, they probably wouldn't have had one of those AED deals there.
No.
The push they've made to have those at every one of these events now. If they hadn't had that, there's a good chance. There's a possibility we're talking a whole lot different about this story right now.
No.
So anyway, we want to talk about that. But of course, the big thing for the Hogs was the bowl game since we last talked.
It seems like, I guess, because we're so used to recording right on a Monday or Tuesday after a Saturday, recording on a Monday, Tuesday after a Wednesday. It seems like the football game was ages ago.
That's right.
It seems like it was so long ago, but no, it's less than a week ago.
Yeah.
So.
And you were there for at least the first half.
I was there for the first half, and then,
And then I watched it. And I got to tell you, Clint, there were some disappointments. However, I'm happy with the way the Razorback season ended.
I am too. I thought they played a great game, and the team never quit. And they had a lot of reason to quit. I mean, the momentum had left. It had been taken from them and handed to the other team by the referees on several occasions.
Well, and that's the thing. They overcame a lot to win that game.
They did.
First of all, people said, well, Kansas was 6-6. That was a 6-6 team. They wasn't that good of a team. Well, you know what? They were 5-0, and then their quarterback got hurt. And then they went on a losing streak. They had that winning streak with that quarterback that started against us in that bowl game. Okay. So they were at full strength. Second of all, Kansas, like everybody said beforehand, was more motivated to be there. They had the intangibles of being more motivated to be at that bowl game. They hadn't been to a bowl game in a long time, similar to the Razorbacks the year before. People were questioning, with good reason, Pittman, are you going to be able to get these guys motivated to play this game?
And that crowd was a true 50-50 split.
And they came out, and the players were motivated to win that game. That says a lot to me. Okay, that says a lot of the type of players you had on the field. That tells me the type of coaches you had coaching them. They were ready to win that game. And not only that, look, I am usually the last person to blame the refs. Okay. But pretty much you took the twice at least. I'm not going to complain about all the missed holding calls and all the missed pass interferences and all that other stuff. Okay. We can talk about that later.
Oh, I'm going to.
But there's 2 times that we for sure know that the refs took the win away from the Razorbacks. The fumble that was called a fumble and shouldn't have been, and the targeting, which they've come back and said wasn't targeting. Right there, we know on those 2 plays should have been Arkansas ball, Arkansas for the win. Should have been us solidifying the win with those 2 plays, both of those times. And it didn't happen because the refs screwed up. So to overcome all that, plus you're losing the players you're losing in the transfer portal, you're having to play without your best center. You lose your backup center to the transfer portal right before the game. And then your backup offensive lineman, your right guard, gets hurt at the beginning of the game. And you have to throw a freshman in there.
True freshman.
True freshman. Okay. That's a lot to overcome, man.
Oh, and not even in your top 3 of your top 4 receivers are gone.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Yeah. And you're playing a team that is motivated to be there, that is more at full strength because their quarterback's healthy. They don't have as many people they've lost in the portal.
Mhm.
You know, they got most of their starters. I think it was a great game by Arkansas.
Let me ask you another question. If Arkansas, if you had to say we had a Razorback offensive on the offensive side go to New York for the Heisman ceremony, who would it have been? Rocket Sanders.
Yeah,
We lose him the first drive.
that's right.
You played that game without Rocket Sanders.
Yeah.
I mean, 48 scholarship players, you're down to 46 when you consider you lose Rocket and Crawford. And I will say this: the refs were absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
The loan, and it cost KJ Jefferson the efficiency record in Arkansas. Sintanga got mugged in the end zone. I was in the end zone looking right at it. He got mugged. That was an obvious PI. We should have been up 25 going into halftime. I mean, we really should have. You should have been up 25. Then you end the game. I mean, you basically, and that puts the game away. It's going to be hard to. I mean, it was hard to come back from what they came back, but you're up 25 going into half. You're feeling really good. I mean, you're feeling really good being up 18. It's just, it was poorly called. The fumble. And who knows about targeting anymore? They've got to fix that in the offseason, because I saw it get called 3 different ways in 3 different games.
Yeah.
In crucial moments. The Georgia-Ohio State game, the Michigan TCU game, the Arkansas SMU game, and the one at the TCU Michigan game was probably the worst one.
Yeah.
I would have actually said McAdoo's was the least like targeting.
Yeah.
And you call that one and not call the other one. They've got to fix the replay system, and they've got to fix targeting. It just has to get done. It's killing the game every much as the transfer portal and every much as NIL.
Yeah.
It's
Well, so, but the Hogs, of course, in overtime, we see some good plays called, good plays ran. I think everything goes well, and we end up winning in overtime. So you got to be happy with that going into next year. Of course, now there's some changes up on the hill we need to talk about. We continued to lose some players to the portal. And one that is I guess we can call him a friend to the program. We had him on earlier in the year, and
great young man.
Great time interviewing him. Great young man, Jordan Dominic. After coming out and saying he was coming back because he had a chance to go pro, had a chance, of course, go to through the portal, but he wanted to come back. He wanted to be a Hog. He wanted to lead this defense, to be both a vocal and player leader on this team. And then he does a great job in the bowl game. I thought he had a good game. He got some pressure, made some plays, along with other players. And then it comes out today or yesterday. It was yesterday, wasn't it? Today's Tuesday when we're recording this. So it was Monday, the 2nd, that he has put his name in the transfer portal. Okay. Now, one thing that concerns me about this, well, first of all, I just hate it because we're losing Jordan Dominic, because I like the kid. I like the way he plays. 6.5, 7.5 sacks this year. A kid that was playing against, to me, he's a lot like Michael Turner in baseball. He went from playing on a team against lower level competition, and when he came to Arkansas, he upped his game and improved in every stat category. I think at Georgia Tech, he, got up to like 3.5 sacks. In Arkansas, he improved that, of course, and improved his tackles load and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm hearing a lot of people respond to him entering the portal is, well, it's a money grab. Someone's come in and offered him more money.
Well, let me tell you folks something. Jordan Dominic's not hurting for money because he got that big C, bigger T rub.
That's right. That's right. When you're on this show,
yeah, your wildest dreams come true.
You're set for a while. But yeah. Take that, players. But Clint, a lot of it has gone, it seems like every time we hear about someone going in the portal,
yep,
it goes negative, right?
Otis Kirk posted on his Facebook page, and it may have been in Hogville. I don't know. But I remember it was written by Otis Kirk. Like, y'all may want to calm down because not every player that goes in the portal is going there because they want to. Some are told to leave. There's no loyalty in sports anymore.
Yeah.
There's just not.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a staggering amount of money, Travis. $800 million. That's almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's more money than we can fathom. That's how much money right now is being paid in the NFL for coaches not to coach. That is the buyouts that they are currently paying out. I would be curious to what it is in college football. Because, because not everybody goes. You have guys that do what Bielema did, what Butch Jones did. Butch Jones was making $25,000 a year from Alabama. Bielema was making $50,000 a year from New England, and then in the meantime, we're paying him $2.5 million a year to not coach. The schools have no loyalty when it comes to the coach. The coaches have no loyalty when they come to the kids. The kids have no loyalty when they go to the university. It's gone.
Yeah.
It is gone. No one has any loyalty. There was a basketball player last year that wanted to return to the university. And basically they got a better kid out of the portal and they told him he needed to leave.
Yeah. And so I just want to, it's Jordan's story to tell. However, I just want to say that the NIL, the transfer portal, all the money is not just affecting the players and their decisions. It also affects the coaches and their decisions also. So don't put all the blame on the players is all I'm trying to say. Okay. You could probably read between the lines and spell out what really happened. But that's just how I'm going to put it.
Torture us if you want, we'll never tell.
Yeah. So,
but we'll roundabout way tell you anyway.
So sadly, but like with other players, I told Jordan that I said, well, man, I'm going to root for you no matter where you go, unless you play the Razorbacks. And then I hope our fat linemen shut you down. So anyway, Clint, last week, not only did we play a bowl game, but basketball opened SEC play against those dreaded LSU Tigers.
And we're driving back from Memphis, and we get into Arkansas, and Anna's driving because I don't like to drive that much. And I have to find the game on the radio, and I feel like, hey, baby, is it okay if I put the basketball game on? So I had to listen to it, but I guess you get to watch it.
I saw most of it.
It's one of the few that I haven't seen this year, but I think it's obvious why I haven't seen it. The result didn't go the way we wanted, but I'm not an all hope is lost type guy. I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's you know, look, this team, we've said it all along, is gonna struggle at times. Now it stinks that we struggled against LSU. First of all, because it's LSU. Second of all, because they had to replace more players than we had to replace. I mean, there's
Well, he pretty much just brought the Murray State roster over.
yeah. I mean,
It's just Murray State from last year.
yeah. But uh but we know this team, they're so young, and now we don't have a consistent shooter. We had Nick Smith, who was, who really is Nick Smith's kind of like a Moses Moody. He's probably a little more of a scorer than Moses Moody.
Right.
Moses Moody was a good, he could get you some threes every now and then, but he wasn't gonna Pat Bradley it. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't gonna be your guy to just fill it up from three. He was gonna score from all around. And Moses Moody scored from all around, right? And I think Nick Smith was going to be that guy that when you needed some threes, he was going to be able to get you some threes. And Moses Moody was able to do that. When you needed some threes, he could get you some threes. But we really don't have that guy. Trayvon Brazile was that guy, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that guy right now. I mean, Walsh every now and then will hit a three. Black every now and then will hit a three. He don't play Pinion enough to find out if he's that guy.
Well, and who knows? I mean, I wish Pinion would get more playing time. But that being said, I'm not at practice every day. Who knows how Pinion's doing on defense? Muss is very analytical, and he's probably got a formula that says, okay, it's this many points versus this many points. What's the points differential with this guy on the floor?
Yeah,
May not. I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants type guy. And I'm sure Muslim was looking at all kinds of statistics because that seems like the type of guy he is. But me as a fan who sits here and runs my mouth on a podcast, I think Binion should be playing more. I think when he's got an opportunity, he's knocked down the shots. And he's that type of guy that he's going to be a zone buster for you. You want to get them out in the zone so they play man-to-man and let Walsh and Black drive. I think he needs to be in the game. He needs to be given that opportunity.
In your opinion, does Nick Smith come back this year?
I think so. But you think he does too? I think it'll be a week or two and he'll be back.
Yeah, I think I think he'll end up being back.
Yeah.
I really do. I hope he is.
I'm not worried either way because I think we're going to be fine. I really do. I think this team.
The thing is, this team has more talent than any team that Musselman's had at Arkansas.
Oh yeah, even without Nick Smith and without Brazile.
Without Nick Smith playing another game.
Yeah,
that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
If Nick Smith doesn't play, Anthony Black, Jordan Walsh, the big guys down low, the twins, Graham, Council, we got more talent than we've ever had on a Musselman team. And 2 of those teams that Musselman's coached have gone to the Elite Eight. So you got to still feel pretty good about the team, Clint. You got to still feel that they can make it to a Final Four.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even without him, and the thing is what every one of Eric Musselman's team has done is they've gotten better as time has went on. I don't see that being different. You know, they've got some big games coming up. You got Missouri, who's a one-loss Missouri team, who just put a whooping on Kentucky.
Yeah.
And then who do we got this weekend? It's a big game. I there's another. We got Missouri, but then this weekend, Saturday, I think is a big one too. I want to say Auburn, but I ain't 100% on that.
I can't remember.
You know what? I give myself one Google it episode. So there you go.
Google it up.
I'm going to Google it up.
Google it up. Google me.
Yeah, and then we go to Auburn on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. night game at Auburn after we stormed the court last year.
Yeah.
Auburn's going to be pumped up for that.
Yeah.
And you know they're going to have football recruits in town. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere. And that's one of the things I was thinking about them losing to LSU is Musselman, of course, took them to Texas for the untelevised game that doesn't count. But that was really their first true road test.
Yeah.
Going into somebody else's house, playing them in their house, and in that type of atmosphere. And I think this Auburn one's going to be just a different level.
Yeah. I agree. I agree totally.
So now go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, we kind of jumped from football to basketball. Did you have a player of the game in mind?
Oh, for the bowl game?
For the bowl game.
Part of me wants to say Quincy McAdoo.
Played a heck of a game.
He did a little too much trash talking for me to give him player of the game. I wish he would calm down a little bit on that. You know what I mean? He made some big plays though, and he was consistent the whole game. I may give it to DeBinion.
DeBinion played, and listen, in any game Arkansas plays, you can say KJ Jefferson too.
Oh yeah.
Because DeBinion, I agree 100% with DeBinion. DeBinion had a heck of a ball game. Because he stepped up. And that's what this bowl game was about. Like, who was going to step up? People were going to step up that you didn't think were going to have to step up. And DeBinion's a great guy. I mean, because it's like AJ Green got AJ Green's load. Yeah. And he got a little bit extra, but a lot of Rocket's load went to DeBinion, and he stepped up. Of course, you play as much football as he did this year. When you get to the bowl game, you're no longer a freshman. But a guy that was a freshman that had to step up was a Marion Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, and being in the end zone and watching, I was able to pay a lot of attention to the offensive line, and he played a heck of a football game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give it to him, but I can almost give it to the guy to his right, because you're a true freshman playing in a bowl game, your first extended playing time of the year. And Crawford went down on that field goal on the first drive?
Yeah.
So Harris played the rest of the game. I mean, he played the second possession on and played a heck of a ball game, but to be able to look to your right and have Dalton Wagner there. Dalton Wagner said he wasn't scared to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
You get the answer. Now, true story is when I got moved to center in Arkansas Tech. Mullins, he goes, hey, if you don't know who to block on a play, just turn around and get with me, and I'll tell you. And so I turn around, he goes, you have number one. And I go, oh, okay. And then I didn't want to go, what does number one mean? It meant that you had the first man on this side of the line of scrimmage, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know because I just hadn't learned. It may have been I hadn't learned the playbook. I don't know. I was just like, I didn't have the guts to go, I don't know what number one.
Well, Clint, I never played college football, and I know what he meant by number one there. Just
a little bit of fodder there, but yeah.
Not to brag or nothing, but just to, anyway.
No, it's probably pretty much common sense, and that is not my strong suit.
And I also know what kind of scheme y'all were running, and probably what kind of play you were running out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Harris came up big. You're right, and he deserves some attention for how he played, to step into a game like that and play as well as he did, because that's one of those games to where you expect to see some highlights of the guy doing some Olay blocking,
Yeah.
Olay! Or what coach used to call them, lookout blocks. Look out, KJ. He's coming. Look out. But he didn't have any of those. And like you said, I think you could see him, and I know they talked about it in the post-game press conference, but you could see him talking to Dalton Wagner in between plays, and to Limmer. And I thought Limmer looked good at center.
He did. And man, that's what I'm really excited about next year. I mean, you talk about, you get the preview. Is that, okay, you're losing the tackles, so you got to fight there. But now you're going to start seeing Sam Pittman's offensive line start to materialize.
Yeah.
These are still going to start being his guys. And I think you can pretty much pencil in that Limmer and I have a brain fart on the other one, is going to start the left guard.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yep, we are, guys. We're recording later than we normally do because Travis had a meeting. We're normally not very quick-witted, but we're even less quick-witted tonight. But yeah, I mean, so you got two returning starters, two two-year starters. You got to think they're coming back.
Yeah.
Limmer, I think you got him penciled in at center, but you're going to, you got the Little Rock Towers, Marion Harris and Chamblee. They're going to be there. Terry Wells has got a few years in the system. The spring is going to be so big because you've got so many of them guys that are going to be fighting for spots.
Yeah.
And the guy that starts the left guard, you may start seeing him at tackle some. Crawford's going to be in the mix. These guys, the transfer from Florida, it's going to be.
We said Limmer, right?
Yeah, Limmer.
I think of the other one.
I want to say Clinton, but that ain't it.
No.
Yeah. I know I feel dumb.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm Googling it again. Sue me. I'm breaking my rule, but it's my podcast. Brady Latham.
That's it.
Yep, Brady Latham. Yep. I Googled it. I cheated.
Yeah.
But Latham, and I think Latham's going to be is definitely they're pretty much an ink at starters.
Mm-hmm.
And then and Harris had a heck of a first audition. to be in there. You know, you got to feel good.
He still is built like a tackle more to me. If his feet are quick enough, I don't know.
But you know what? I saw, you know, and I was going to bring this up to you a while back. So, there was one of the games that there ended up being, I think it may have been the Ole Miss game where you started seeing a lot of backups play. And I noticed, you know, Marion Harris had been listed number 2 left tackle all season long. Anyway, when the second unit went in, Manuel went in at left tackle. And I was like, you know, if that had been quarterback, everybody would have been riding off like, I can't believe Manuel in before him, you know, like they did with Malik Hornsby. And so, yeah, I'm like, but I noticed that kind of thing. I was happy to see him get an opportunity. I was happy to see him play a heck of a ball game.
Yeah. Well, Clint, it's 2023. What are you watching?
Oh my goodness, I've been watching a lot of TV. I was watching wrestling last night. I'm still, you know, watching wrestling. I watched the new Ric Flair documentary.
Oh,
they got it on Peacock. It was a lot, and I don't want to give too much away. And it's right at the very beginning of it, so I don't think I'm giving away. I didn't know Ric Flair was actually a black market baby.
Really?
Like he was. Yeah, he was. He said there's no way. He said his actual parents are too conservative to have taken part in it, that they had to not known. But apparently, when he was young, he was born in Memphis, and he was and there was a bunch of that going around, and he was one of those kids.
Wow.
I mean, like turned out to be the greatest world heavyweight champion of all time. Woo!
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but I watched that. It was really good, really, really well done.
Yeah.
And they've got another show. It's on Vice, and I went back and I've watched it from start to finish, called Tales from the Territories.
Yeah, I've watched that.
Oh, it's so good. It is such a good show, and I remember a lot of them guys too. You know, I grew up on the Rock and Roll Express and Junkyard Dog and the Freebirds. I mean, because me and you are at the age we can remember the end of the territory days going into WCW, WWE.
Yeah. No, that was the Mid-South Wrestling on Saturday mornings on Channel 4 or whatever. And
I remember it being a big deal when Ric Flair come to town.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, he was the traveling champ that represented everybody, and you would build up your champ, and they'd come in. They never would quite beat Ric Flair. It'd always be some kind of shady DQ finish.
Oh, Terry Taylor and
the
Rock and Roll Express were in Little Rock a lot, and then they their deal with the Midnight Express didn't get hot and heavy until they moved them over to Atlanta.
Yeah.
To WCW over there, but they were on TBS then. But when they were in Little Rock, the Midnight Express would come in every now and then. But I think they would take on wasn't it Terry Taylor and Sting before it was Sting?
It was Road Warrior Sting, or Blade Runner Sting, and Blade Runner Rock, who was the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, yeah.
No. I remember that. I remember them coming in.
And then who else did the Rock and Roll Express fight a lot?
Oh my goodness,
the Freebirds,
the Varsity Club. I mean, they had all kinds.
You remember Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2?
Yeah, I remember Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2, and of
course JYD.
I remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Hacksaw Butch Reed. I actually messaged Hacksaw Jim Duggan to see if I could get him on the podcast, and
I did too.
Yeah, he never read it, so but I was like, if I could get Hacksaw on, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I saw him. He was doing interviews for that. Did you see his house got broke into?
I did, and he basically held the guy down.
Yeah, and so I thought, I'm gonna see he's doing a bunch of interviews for that. Maybe he's paying attention to his DMs a little bit. So
Hacksaw's got to be one of those mess around and find out type guys.
yeah,
It's like I'm gonna beat up this old man. Like, oh no, not that one.
yeah.
He probably sleeps with a 2x4 by his bed.
Well, and he said he said the guy, the guy who came in his house because he was trying not to get shot by somebody else.
Yeah.
And Hacksaw said, he said if my gun would have been in a better place, he said he would have got shot coming in my house.
Yeah.
Because he said when he opened the door, the guy came through the door. And he said, and he tripped on a step. He said, that's when I went into wrestling mode. He said, I pinned him to the ground. He said, then I got my wife over there to pin him. And he said, that's when I went and got my gun. He said, I had a like a 44 Magnum pistol that I shoot in the air to scare off coyotes and stuff from my dogs.
Yeah.
He said, if I would have had that in my hand and he would have came through that door, I would have been afraid he was coming to hurt me. He said, thankfully I didn't have it.
Right.
Because the guy was trying to get away from some people trying to kill him or whatever. But anyway. No, man, that old wrestling stuff though, all those old, I love watching those old Vice. There's some great documentaries on it.
It just the stories they tell are just pure gold. Yeah. One of my favorite ones is hearing Jerry Lawler talk about Andy Kaufman, how after he pole drove him, and he's like, he wants an ambulance, and he's like, tell him no, that thing costs like $300.
Yeah.
And he says he'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Hey, fine.
They're having this conversation out there in the ring. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, he stayed in the hospital for like 3 days selling it.
Yeah. That Andy Kaufman deal was crazy, which I love that because I loved wrestling and I love comedy. So just hearing those two things mix like that, I love hearing those stories like that.
See, any more like he would have gotten like nowadays when people know it's sports entertainment, that it's not real, it would have been money. Like people would have loved it and they would have cracked up. Everything that Andy Kaufman could have done, people would have just ate up.
Yeah.
Back then, like they wanted to kill him.
Oh yeah.
Like he was probably the most hated man in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, that's what he wanted though. That's what he wanted. Like he saw Lawler and all them, or those guys that were bad guys come out there and get heat, and he's like, man, that's perfect, And he's like, what better prank to pull on people, He was a genius. As long as he was laughing at the joke, he didn't care if you laughed at it or not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, what are you watching? We dominated it with what I'm watching. Now, what's Big TV?
I've been watching. I've been watching some different things, but one of the things I've kind of gone back and started watching. A couple years ago, I went back and I started watching all the Survivors, and here recently, I decided I'm going to watch The Amazing Race.
Mm.
And so it's pretty interesting. Especially interesting because I've had a chance to go to some of the cities, that they go to. When they go to Manila, and some of the others, and like some of the airports I've been in that they're, because a lot of they're in the airport trying to get better flights and all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, it's been fun kind of watching it because I'd never really watched it. But it was fun. And then I just finished watching The Voice for the first time.
Oh wow.
I got caught up into that. So but I'm gonna probably be caught up into it next year too, Clint. I found out. Because a student that went through my youth group, Connor McMurray, he's got he's been in the interview process, and he's got a good chance of going on it next year.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's got in February, I think he finds out if he gets to go on.
He just got to come up with a super sad backstory and he's in.
That's right. That's all he needs.
Has he thought about cutting off any limbs?
I got to figure out a way to get me on the stage there too. You know what I mean?
So you can be the guy in the back going go with Team Shakira.
Yeah. I like John Legend. Yay.
Yeah,
So, I need to figure out how I can work into his sob story. I figure we can work that out somehow. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seriously known the kid since he was born.
Right.
In fact, I waited to leave my church till him and a couple other kids that were the same age graduated. So, like, I actually had them. You know, they were born when I first got to Camden, and then they graduated before I left my church. Okay, so I was there for like 18 years with them.
I think they could hire you as their spiritual advisor or something, since you are
See, that's what he needs, and that's what he needs.
spiritual advisor.
I could be like, oh man, it's gonna be in California. I could be like his spiritual guru.
Yeah,
I
like, there's a
could
lot of evil out there. You're
I
trying to
could
keep
wear like some kind of weird looking robe, and like get some earrings with like weird necklace, shaving my head. Dude, that would be awesome.
pierce your nose, just like the septum piercing, like just
Yeah,
boring.
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pitch that idea to him. I think he'll go for it.
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, like
He needs a spiritual guru, and I can, like, when he's trying to decide who to go with after he gets 4 chairs to turn, you know,
right. Because if you're going to have a spiritual guru, you're going to get 4 chairs.
he can like just look over at me, and there I am with my bald head, and I can put some fake tattoos on it, you know, and because I'm not gonna get real tattoos on.
Will you get a hometown roofing at somewhere on there?
Yeah, I'll get a hometown roof and a brand Stanza, a brand Stanza on one side. Anyway,
Y'all we're tired. We have derailed.
and I'll just be sitting there, like sending vibes to him over the cameras, and I mean Blake won't be there anymore.
Dude, you know what's going to happen is you're going to end up in a relationship with Ariana Grande.
More than likely.
I mean, that's what's going to
More
happen.
than likely what's going to happen.
I mean, you're going to be on the Inquirer, like,
She's going to be like, I know he's overweight, but
who's that beefy boy?
he's so spiritual.
So spiritual.
He's so spiritual.
We just vibe on a spiritual level.
And I find spiritual sexy.
There you go.
And so what if he's old enough to be my father? That's okay. So anyway, that's what's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen.
So what we've announced on this podcast, in case you missed it, I'm going to become famous as a spiritual guru on The Voice and marry
Ariana Grande. Guys, you've heard it here first. Travis Johnson, Ariana Grande in a committed relationship.
That's right.
Breaking
So,
news.
just so everybody knows, congratulations to me.
Gee, Travis. See, normally here's where we tell you to like, share, subscribe. We're everywhere, including Travis's Farmers Only. He's our Farmers Only. He's dating Ariana Grande.
Because I already got this hooked up.
it's as good as done.
It's going to happen.
He's as good as done.
Just be ready for it to happen in your universe, people.
Yeah. It's
And you know what the Big C Bigger T podcast is going to be like when that happens? Fire!
Woo-hoo! My New Year's resolution is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody, and it starts with
That's right.
Travis Johnson dating Ariana Grande.
So between now and then, like and share, because you want people to hear about this podcast so they can say, oh, I knew about that before the Ariana Grande Bigger T thing.
Yeah.
Spiritual guru
Yeah.
Boy.
Exactly.
take over the world thing. I knew about it before that, when they were just lowly boys doing a fun podcast. Too late one Wednesday or Tuesday.
And they got delusional and started talking about Travis dating Ariana Grande.
Past their bedtime.
And then he manifested it.
And then he manifested it. So, folks, thank y'all so much. Clint, as always, it's a pleasure doing the thing with you.
Have a good one.
Folks, have a great week. Happy New Year. Be blessed. Beyond all the stress.
Booga booga.
I'll see you in the funny pages.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come.
Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard.